Indiana Latino Expo Show.
Welcome everyone to our Access Participant Spotlight segment where we will highlight the different career journeys of Latinx professionals in our city. My name is Fabio Yataco, co-founder of the Access Professional Leadership Program.
And my name is Maria de León. I am Access alum and currently a student at Butler University. We are excited to be your host of this new monthly segment on the Hailey Show.
Today we have 4 Access participants, Paco, Alex, Hernan, and Marta. Welcome you all. We're excited to have you all on our Access Participant Spotlight segment. Today's topic will focus on how you 4 young professionals achieve a career in STEM.
Yes, so to start off, can you each one of you tell us a little bit about yourselves, like where you attended school, what you majored, and where you currently work at. Alex, would you like to start?
Sure, absolutely. I can start. First of all, I want to thank you for having us here. It's my pleasure. As you said, my name is Alejandro Barra, but I usually go for Alex. I was born and raised in Mexico. I was born in the town of Obregón, Sonora. Then I moved to the border town of Ciudad Juárez, just across Texas, El Paso. Growing up in the border, I had this constant interaction with our border city in El Paso. So I had the opportunity to attend college in there at the University of Texas at El Paso. I really enjoyed it. I got my major in electrical engineering with a concentration in computer engineering. And while I was getting my degree, I was working as a research assistant. So I was getting my research on chaos theory and its implementation in communication. And this brought me to a conference in California where I got to meet Cummins. I got to meet Cummins there. We had a connection. They get me an offer to get to Indiana, and that's how I arrived here to Indiana. I have been a software integration engineer for 2 years now at Cummins. It's been great. I love the place. I have been learning a lot, and that's the story.
Thank you, Alex. Marta, would you like to go next?
Yeah, of course. First of all, thank you so much for having us. As far as I am, I graduated from Hanover College, which is a very, very small liberal arts school that's situated by the Ohio River in Madison, Indiana. While I was there, at first I intended to pursue a biology degree, but I ended up majoring in biochemistry in the spring of 2019. I currently work at Corteva AgriScience as a combustion analyst. And for those that don't know, Corteva is a large agricultural chemical company that specializes in both seeds and crop protection. My current role is within the crop protection aspect. I'm part of the environmental fate and metabolism group. In the fate and metabolism group, conduct lab in field studies to characterize the route in degradation of agrochemicals such as pesticides and fungicides in the environment, in crops and animal systems. And I have been working there for about a year now, and I really, really enjoy my current role.
Awesome. Anand, would you like to go next?
Sure, yeah. Just making sure I'm unmuted. Well, thank you, Maria and Fabio, for inviting me. I actually grew up in several places. So I was born in Oaxaca, Mexico. I spent half my childhood there, and then my family and I moved to Los Angeles, where I spent the rest of my childhood up to middle school. And after that, I moved to Broomfield, Colorado, where I completed high school. And after that, I came back to Long Beach, California, and ended up at a 4-year university at Cal State Long Beach and pursued mechanical engineering. And just after that, I went to a conference, just he mentioned before, and I met Cummins for the first time. I applied for a job there, an internship actually. I got denied, but my last year I went to the same conference and I applied again, and I got the job. So I got the offer for a product engineering, design engineer. And it's been 3 years now since I started working there, and I love working at Cummins, and the thing I do is still very interesting. And hopefully I'll stay there for a bit more.
Awesome. And lastly, Paco.
Hi, thank you for inviting us. So I was born and well, my name is Francisco Rafael Torres Diaz. I go by Paco. I was born and raised in the city of Tampico, Tamaulipas, in Mexico. It's like 5 hours from the border. I was there until I was 19. Then I moved to the US in 2012 to pursue a degree in manufacturing engineering at the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley. I was there for 4 years. I was really involved with student organizations. All the conference I went. I was president of several groups. And then when I graduated, I didn't have a job offer. So I decided to go into grad school. So I started a master's in manufacturing engineering in the same college. And then about a year and a half into it, I got a call from a friend of mine who was working with Cummins, and he said, "Hey, I'm changing jobs. Do you want to apply for my job?" So I went for it. I interviewed over the phone. I interviewed on the site, and by the end of the semester, I was working for Cummins. I moved to Indiana in December of 2017. So my first year with Cummins, I was finishing my thesis. It's right there. I finished it. Hard year. So I graduated with my master's, and I've been with Cummins for 3 years. I work at the fuel systems plant in Columbus as an industrial engineer, and I also currently am about to finish my MBA with IUPUI. So a lot going on.
Perfect. So each one of you has a different, career and position within the STEM field. Marta, you kind of started to describe a little bit about, what your career, day-to-day tasks are. Would you like to kind of start us off and kind of describe, those tasks a little bit more?
Yep, of course. So like I said, I work at the Environmental Fate and Metabolism Lab, and basically my day varies quite a bit. I start by performing various efficiency and calibration checks on several instruments, and then depending on the schedule, I provide support to any study director that needs help. For example, one day I will work with soil samples, and the next I could be working with animal tissue. And as my title suggests, combustion analyst, my main task is to combust carbon-14 samples. And this allows us to figure out the amount of radioactivity in the system, in systems such as crops or any type of animal tissue. And in addition to that, I also help manage the radioactive waste stream by making sure that it all gets properly disposed within the lab.
Awesome. Alex, would you like to describe your day-to-day tasks?
Absolutely. So as a STEM major, the day-to-day tasks are constantly changing. But as of today, I will say as a software integration engineer, my main task is to complete the software request our clients have. This is to build software that goes into the engine controller modules that our customers require. Also, because we make this software, we need to test it. So we usually, after building it, we put it into a test bench and just do some quick checks so that we know our software has the quality to go to the customer. I also do some automatization software or scripts to automatize some of the documentation or things that we need to do on our daily basis. Besides that, there's always projects popping up here and there that you can join. And I mean, there's always issues that are coming up, right? I mean, you can be working on a software and someone will say, hey, remember the software we did a month ago for this client? It's not working now. So it's really urgent. So you need to stop what you're doing, go there, come back, and just pop into different things. And it can get pretty exciting. I actually enjoy it.
Awesome. Paco, would you like to go next?
Sure. So as an industrial engineer, my job is a little bit up to interpretation. My main task is to make everything and every process that we do in our plant more efficient. That means safer, faster, better every day. So right now, my main tasks go around redesigning our facilities. So how do we reorganize our equipment to make people work better, be more efficient, do more process with less people, and also how do we keep them safe? Right now with COVID, we need to be able to have people spread out in our facility. So how do we even account for that now? So it's a lot of looking for new ways and creative ways of doing the same thing more and faster, which includes bringing new equipment, and combining robots with people. Right now, we're doing a big push for integrating collaborative robots with operators, and that's a fight because people don't like robots. But then we install them and they love them because they make their lives easier. So there's a lot of that is improving for our people and improving for our business.
Awesome. And Hernan.
Yeah, so as a product design engineer, my main task per se is to support the design of, a Cummins product, which usually is an engine. And of course, I don't design the whole engine. I work in a team that designs the whole engine. So whatever I'm assigned to, whatever part, I have to, get it, make up, first of all, design the actual part, and then get prototypes and make sure I check all the boxes. So, it's safe, reliable, and it has the Cummins stamp on it. Usually, the day varies depending on not only the project, but the phase. So if I have a great opportunity to, get involved in up to the conception, from the conception all the way to, the release of the product. So if I'm at the conception part of, the product, I can be modeling for months and thinking of new ideas and spending basically my whole days in the computer. If I'm, I guess, in the later part of the phases, I'm kind of managing parts, making sure things fit. If there's problems, I have to solve it sometimes. And there are some days where there's meetings all the time. There's some days where people are asking me tons of questions. And there are some days when no one bothers me and I'm just alone, designing. Nowadays, I'm always at the computer. So I'm trying to get active, more active.
Oh, it seems like you guys all do such great things. And I mean, it's interesting because I feel like you guys are speaking another language to me since I'm not in the STEM field, but it sounds really, really interesting. And we're excited to have you as part of the Access family. So again, thank you guys for letting us know a little bit more about your world and taking us in through your day-to-day tasks. So you all are Access participants, right? What made you apply to the Access program, and what has been your biggest takeaway thus far? We'll start with Alex.
Absolutely. I think this has been, well, since the beginning of the last year, it has been pretty tough because of the whole pandemic situation. So it's been really tough too for career advancement. I mean, I did a couple of projects every now and then during the year, some online courses, but I think I needed to work on my leadership skills, on my soft skills. And I saw the opportunity of becoming an Axis member. And I think it was like the perfect timing. I want to increase my leadership skills, and meeting all these Latino people that with amazing careers that want to achieve great things, I think was a really big thing for me too. And I think that's my biggest takeaway too. I mean, I'm a Latino people. I'm meeting all these people that have really incredible goals, and not only for themselves, but for the community, for the next generations. It's pretty empowering to me and motivates me to go forward.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I mean, we're fortunate to have all four of you all as part of the Access participant program. So thank you so much for your answer. Paco, we'll start with you now.
Sure. So Access actually came in a very interesting point for me. So I've been trying to get involved a lot with different groups while I'm here, especially as that's one of the reasons I entered my second master's, to kind of keep developing myself. But I found that Latino groups often are trending towards the more social or like less professional vibe. So it's like, we're gonna have Latino night, so we're gonna have, you know, Latino food or Latino dancing, or we're gonna play soccer because we are Latinos and we like soccer. So Access was like the first time where I saw like, no, this is leadership, this is professional development. We're gonna ask the tough questions of like, why aren't more VP CEOs or like Latino CEOs or Latino VPs? Why don't we have a Latino president? So for me, it was like a program that was asking the right questions and teaching young professionals in the Latino community the right things to be that next generation that makes the difference, right? That goes beyond what our parents and grandparents did. So that was very exciting for me, and that's why I decided to apply. And my biggest takeaway so far is that empowerment and that realization of the strong presence of Latino professionals in a very red state, right? I always said that I learned to be a minority when I moved here because I lived in Texas and I live in Mexico. So I didn't know what being a minority was all about. And, you know, we're a minority, but we're a very strong minority. And we have a lot of talent here and in the whole program and beyond. So we better be ready. So when the new generations come, we're ready to help them climb the ladder too.
Exactly. And it's all about that, right? It's giving back to those that will throw us so they can one day do the same for someone else. So yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. Hernan, what about you?
So I joined Access, I guess, because some of the same reasons as what Paco and Alex just, told you guys about. I was looking for self-improvement, but not only that, I was looking for other people with, the same goals of reaching success, influencing others, kind of pushing each other to, being more of a leaders and being more impactful to the community. And I guess one of the reasons that you might not have heard yet here is that I really wanted to kind of be part of the community in my current home in Indiana. I wanted to connect with people who aren't only in engineering, but in all sorts of walks of life. And Latinos, of course, something that connects us is our culture and our upbringing. And I think that kind of relation, that kind of commonality, it sort of kind of binds us together. And I like, I ride cross country, so just you only need one thing to push each other and make us a good team for the community. So that's kind of my answer. Yeah.
Yeah, man, I feel that and completely understand what you're saying. And we hope that, obviously, fortunately with COVID, it's been difficult to just kind of build community, but with Access, I mean, that's the hope, right? I mean, once you're in it, you're part of the Access fam, right? So we're going to continue to build that community within ourselves and go eat food and have a great time. So we definitely look forward to that once, post-COVID. Marta, please feel free to share.
Yeah, of course. I chose to apply because I wanted to get more involved with the Indianapolis Latino community, just because of places like La Plaza and the Latino Institute helped me get to where I am with scholarships or just guidance. And in addition to that, I also wanted to work on my leadership skills and develop professionally because I want to be able to give back to the community. I want to help other young Latinos out there who might be in the same place that I was when I first started college. And so far, my biggest takeaway is that there's a really big Latino support system out here. As a minority in STEM, you sort of say, you're the only person, or that there's you and maybe two other people out there. But Access has proven that that there's a lot of us and that we're all willing to help each other. So, yeah.
Awesome. So diving into a little bit more into everyone's career field in STEM, I'm first going to share statistics. So according to the Pew Research Center, Hispanics comprise 16% of the US workforce, but only 7% of all STEM workers. And did you all always have it in mind to pursue a career in STEM, or, or did it ever just change and you were like, I want to become an engineer, or I want to, just dive into the science fields? And Paco, would you like to start?
Oh, yes. So it's a funny story. So my entire life, I think up to my junior year in high school, I was certain to a fault that I wanted to be a psychologist. That was what I wanted to do with my life. I just thought I was going to be great at it. I loved it with an intense passion. But every time I would tell my professors about it or my teachers about it, they would give me a face of like, why would you ruin your life like that? Because I was always the nerdy kid. I was always good at math, always good at science. I loved chemistry. And they were like, what the hell are you doing? So that year, a friend of mine invited me to this engineering chemistry competition from a very good university in Mexico City. He said like, hey, I want you to be in my team because like you're smart and stuff. Sure. So I started with a project, and I just dove in so hard. Like it was like 6 months where I was like every ounce of my spare time I was thinking of that, working on that. We came up with math, a wake up alarm math, so you had to stand up to stop your alarm clock. So it was like an amazing thing. We got second place at a national level. We got to go to Mexico City and present the work. So after that, I realized, this is what I wanted the rest of my life. Like as a psychologist, I wanted to be an engineer. And industrial engineering was the best for me because I think everybody would agree is the most people-oriented engineering. I constantly have to work with people, and everything that I do, my customer are the people using what I design. And if I don't do a good job, people suffer. So for me, it just made sense in my head, and I'm very passionate about it. So I think it was the best possible change, and I'm glad. My siblings actually both are gonna be psychologists. One is psychologist, and the other one is studying psychology. So I'm glad I wasn't a psychologist, and I went into STEM. And it's been an adventure, and I loved every second of it.
Great. Hernan, next.
Yeah, so up until high school, I think I just had no idea what I wanted to do. It's like there was no question was ever like brought up to me. Like no one ever asked me like, oh, what do you want to do with your life? I kind of just followed what I liked, and usually it was school. I was like very into school, so every subject I just dived in. But I was really good at math and science. And it wasn't up until my junior year that I had the, I guess, greatest physics teacher that I could like have. Everything he just taught just fascinated me. Like he would have these lectures, or they weren't lectures, these classes where he would just be like, just sit back and relax, and I'll just tell you about, this one star in the universe, or like this physics theory. And those days were just like, I just felt enlightened. And when it came time to plan for college, I looked through, what kind of career options I had, and mechanical engineering like really resonated with me because it's so very broad, and you could go very like light on the technical stuff, on the science, math, or you could get very deep into the mathematics and the physics of it. So I thought that would be a great fit for me, and ever since then, I always tried to become a mechanical engineer, which I did. There was a point after high school though that I was thinking of being a mechanic because I grew up playing with Legos, so that's like an avenue I wanted to explore because it's very easy. Well, maybe not easy. It was just very straightforward, right? You take some tech classes, you you become an apprentice to a mechanic, and then you just learn on the job. But later I realized that I didn't like it. That I loved the actual, mathematics and the actual, planning and all that stuff. So.
Well, respect to you all that are really good at math, because when it came to calculus, I was like, I'm done.
You already forgot everything about it. Don't worry.
That is true.
Alex, would you like to go next?
Absolutely. When I grew up as a kid, and even since I was a kid until high school, as a lot of people in Mexico, actually, I wanted to be a professional soccer player, and I was really into it. I was really, really into it. In high school, I gave up on that, and I was firm on being a journalist. I wanted to study journalism so I can be a sports writer or a sports reporter. And when I went into high school, I got into, just because of life happened, I got accepted into this school that was really strict on math and science. They had really advanced courses that you had to take and that kind of things. And I figured out I was really good at it. And I started thinking about engineering. So at that time, I had to have really this big introspection, right? Like, oh, I really want to be a journalist because I love sports, but I like engineering too, and I'm really good at it. So I went for engineering just because I think I can create the biggest impact on engineering, be better for the community, family, for the country, can contribute more to the people surrounding me. And also at that time, my brother was finishing his engineering career, and he has been a pretty good example for me my whole life. And even though it's different engineerings, I learned a lot from him about engineering, and I just decided I wanted to be an engineer.
Awesome. Marta, lastly.
So I have always been a huge science nerd. Even since I was little, Dexter's Laboratory was my favorite show.
Mhm.
And, when I was young, I pretended to have a lab and I would run experiments with water, mud, and all of these sort of things. And so as I grew up, I started to get more interested in specific fields of science, one being virology. And so I just, really started reading books about it. Early in high school, I knew that that's what I wanted to do. So I always signed up for, science fairs, or I would always sign up for the more difficult science courses. And so, when I arrived at college, this is what I wanted to do. So far, it's been going great.
Thank you.
That's amazing, you all. It's crazy to hear how one moment or one person changed it all for us, right? Like changed our career path from going one direction to a completely another direction. I mean, I personally resonate a lot with that because I was also a psychology major, and now I'm in SPIA. I'm in public affairs. So it's just crazy how it all changes for us, and I think it's amazing, career paths. And on the topic of our career paths, I think though there's been ups and downs, there's always some challenges along the way, right? So I'm interested in hearing what were some of those challenges and those takeaways, and how did you manage stress or the stress of expectation? I know growing up in a Hispanic household, there's always a lot of expectations. I'm the oldest, so I got the worst of it, but there's always some kind of, expectation from family members, from la abuela, la tia. So it's just, I'm interested in hearing how you all were able to manage those challenges and that stress. Who can start us off? I'll go with Marta. I know you just went, so.
Yeah. So as far as challenges, I think for me, my mom, and I'm an only child, easy for my mom to just let me focus on my career. She didn't have any sort of expectations for me to do anything other than what I wanted to do. So at home, that aspect, it was really not as stressful at all as it would be. It was a larger family, and so we had to worry about having more getting more children into college. But at school, for sure, there were challenges being, one of the low-income students. I had to work through college, so I had to kind of give up some opportunities for internships just because if, I got that unpaid internship, then I wouldn't be able to get a job and pay for that semester at school. So yeah, that was definitely one of the challenges.
Oh, yeah, thank you for sharing. I think that's all of us can relate. Alex.
Absolutely. I think one of the challenges is taking the time to do it because STEM careers are not easy. That's the honest truth. I mean, it's not easy to be, especially in college. You need to take the time to do it. I mean, everyone has their different rates of learning, and you have 24 hours per day, right? You need to know where to spend it. And the family is always there. And as a Latino, it's like, hey, just come with abuelita. Yes, let's do this. And sometimes you have to say no, I can't. I think that's hard. But you need to keep focused. That's the other challenge, I think, keeping focus. There's a lot of distractions in the world right now, but you need to know what you want and why you want it. And again, I will say, I was an international student, and finding a job in the US for international student is restricting because not a lot of people want them because of the whole visa situation or just because they need security clearance or stuff like that. So like a lot of options close. But if you keep looking, you can find. And at the end, I will say another challenge for me was moving. And what I mean, moving from Mexico to the US, from Texas to Indiana, it's hard. I mean, you need to go where the opportunities are. You need to go where the new technologies is, where they grow, when grow. And but at the end, everything is totally worth it. Yeah.
I mean, definitely commend to your sacrifices. We sacrifices along the way, right? So respect to everything you've done to make it here. Hernan.
Yeah, so I was lucky enough to have a very supportive family, a very, whole family. Like everyone in my immediate family has been there like, from the start. I think if I were to become a mechanic, I think I'd get the same amount of support. It would just be like, just be the best you can be, right? That's what my dad used to tell me, like every morning when he dropped me off of school, it's like, échale ganas. But so the only, I guess, struggle, which I guess Martha kind of touched on, is the socioeconomic one. And also Alex kind of talked about it, which I relate to a lot, is the immigration status. So after high school, I couldn't really go straight to college, even though that was like what I really wanted to. It's just go to a 4-year dorm, have that college dorm life. And it's like something that I always wanted, but I couldn't do it because, I didn't have enough money. I wasn't eligible for FAFSA, which I was like, it's fine. I'll just, work and save. So I took a not so straightforward route, working, saving up for a year, and then getting accepted to community college, going there 3 years, and then transferring to a 4-year. And I was also lucky enough to really enjoy what I was studying and really do and have a lot of confidence on where I wanted to go. So even though, I made sacrifices in not spending that much time with my family, being at the university, like from sometimes 8 a.m. to, midnight, trying to get those essays or like those exams. Even though I made those sacrifices, it was enjoyable for me. And I was very lucky to have that.
Yeah, no, I mean, and again, every time I hear your stories, it's just inspiring, and it's amazing just to hear the sacrifices and the perseverance, because look at you all now, right? And it's just amazing to see your stories. So thank you all for sharing. Paco, finish us off.
So my story is a bit different. I'll preface saying that I consider myself that I come from a very privileged family. Uh, I'm from Mexico, and my family, it's middle class. But my dad always made the sacrifices he had to do to get us through good school. So I went to private school my entire life. I went to a Catholic private school, and I graduated first on my class. So I had all these scholarships that I could have grabbed in any university in Mexico. And it was my sister. My sister, she's my older sister. I'm the middle kid. She decided she was gonna go to the U.S. So when the time came for me to follow her steps, I was committed that I wasn't gonna take the easy route. I wanted to go beyond what I had close by or what I had in Mexico. So I crossed the border, and it was tough. My family, my dad, he set the bar very high. For him, the minimum is grad school. So that was the bar he set. But he was supporting through the whole thing. He paid for my university. He's still helping me with grad school right now, even though he shouldn't. So the challenge was just like the international student gap, as Alex and Hernan said, being in a whole different country, going to those conferences where 200 companies are there, but only 5 can hire you. So you're paying the same amount of money as every other student, but you have way less chances of getting a job or an interview. So that was when I realized, that life is not a solo sport, it's a team sport. Engineering, I can only speak for engineering, it's 100% a team sport. You don't get through engineering alone. You have to find 3 or 4 people that are your like ride or die and get through it together. And I think that's something that I've harnessed my whole life. Like wherever I go, I need to find those people that, hey, we're in this together and we're gonna get through it together. And I guess the biggest challenge for me has been this transition from college to moving here to Indiana and working, because it's my first time living so far away from home for an extended period of time. And it's challenging being alone in a brand new place, and having to work and go to school and all these responsibilities of being an adult when you've never been an adult before. I think it's just add that to the minority section, and it's a whole thing. But I think that's one of the reasons Access is so great, that all these people that were having similar struggles come together, and just sharing that we are all going through the same things just makes it a little better.
Exactly. Man, getting me my feels. I appreciate you sharing, Paco.
Yeah, and going off of, what Paco has and everyone has been kind of talking about, being a minority and, overcoming those unique challenges that, as a person of color, we have to overcome. And, diving into this topic that is kind of now, I don't want to say popular or trendy, but very important, like, diversity, equity, and inclusion. I can definitely relate to the fact that, there are not many, Latinos or Latinas, in my field either. I'm a political science major, so I'm all about, getting more women of color in government and public service. So with that being said, like, at what moment did you realize, you were one of the few Latinos in the STEM field, and how did you navigate that? And we can start with Alex.
Yes. I like this question because when I was in college, I was in El Paso, which in the University of Texas El Paso, right? So I saw the statistics. The University of Texas El Paso is 80% Hispanic students. So I didn't realize how underrepresented Latinos were in STEM, right? I mean, I read the numbers and I was like, I don't feel it. Like, I know what I'm talking about. Not here. And when I went to Indiana, when I came here, it really hit me. Like, I am usually the only Latino in the room at meetings, at conferences, at work, probably 1 or 2 if the meeting is really big and I'm lucky. So that's the moment that I realized, where we are really underrepresented and how to navigate this. I think, you're different in the room with all these other people, And sometimes you can think, oh, that scares me, but on the contrary, you need to grab that to really realize that you are different and know what you bring to the table, right? Know, like, personally and as a Latino, what you bring to the table. We all Latinos have that, our heritage that makes us, like, we have that spark, that joy, that smartness that we bring. And I think we need to be aware of that and embrace it. And also embrace the diversity in the room and learn from everyone.
Yes, I totally agree. Hernan, would you like to go next?
Yeah. So after college, well, a similar experience to Alex, right? I went to Cal State Long Beach, which is in California, and most of, the school was majority of the engineering students were Hispanic. I think it felt like that. And after I got my first job, which is my current role at Cummins, I didn't immediately notice, and that's probably because where I went to high school is predominantly a white high school, so I kind of had that initial culture shock. But I don't think there was a specific moment, but I just noticed that the group I was in, I was maybe one in like two Latinos who were in that group. And it was much of a shock, but it was just a realization that, wow, like, there's like these people and I'm like the only one. But not only that, I was like maybe the only one whose parents didn't have an advanced degree or, degree. I think we had like a conversation with a group of coworkers and most of their parents or, relatives were engineers. And I was like, can't relate. But to me, I would say what helped me was to, I guess, accept the differences and kind of, it's a team effort to get the job done. And even if you can't relate culturally with your teammates, there's always that one thing you relate to. Just knowing that there's differences and knowing that there's similarities, just knowing that and kind of using that to, make yourself sort of at home in your new group kind of like helped me.
Yes. I just keep agreeing because I can relate. Marta, would you like to go next?
Yeah, for me, realizing that is one of the few Latina women specifically was very, very early in my career. At my school, it was a very small liberal arts school in Southern Indiana. So there were like maybe 20 Latinos total. And, at first in the general education classes, you see other faces, but as you go through your major, just that number starts dropping very, very significantly. And I think by the end, I was the only Latina major at my school. And so, it was always a very like stark difference, because it was all these, white students, and it could be, another woman of color and me, or it would just be me in that class. As to how I navigate, I encourage other Latinos and specifically Latino women to join. If any family friends have young children, I'm definitely, trying to get them to, love science. I'll show them Bill Nye or Mythbusters, or, just examples of how I fell in love with science. And also I try to find more Latino places. For example, at work, there's the Latino Network. And although, it's a little different now with COVID since they're not on site, I still, trying to find time and connect with other people that, look like me at work.
Yeah, it's definitely all about empowering government, and this is why we're doing this. You know, we want to let our community know that yes, Indiana or Indianapolis, you know, can be small compared to other states, but we do have Latinx leaders who are thriving and being great role models. So yeah, Paco.
So my experience was a little, similar to Alex and Hernan. My university is the second largest Hispanic university in the country. So we're all Hispanic. And then my major in particular there, we had a lot of women for some reason. We were a small major. And I mean, there were entire classes where like, it's just women and the men are minority. So it was like a very interesting dynamic. But I did a lot of recruiting when I was in college. I would recruit for the college. And when I was in high schools and middle schools, that's when it hit me really hard. Because you would see, the white students thinking about college and the Latino students thinking about going to the military, or I'm going to go to work at a grocery store after I quit high school. And that's like when I have this responsibility to these kids to let them know, no, like there's options for you. There's things you can do, and not because they are labeling you as brown or black or whatever, that your destiny say it's sealed to not go to college. So I took it to and that goes to women too. Like the girls will never, they weren't even thinking about STEM. Like, why would I think of STEM because I'm a woman? No, like think about these options that you have. And so I did a lot of recruiting for high schools, and thankfully I had several come year to me and like, hey, because of that class that you were in, I looked into engineering and now I'm here. Or at one time, a guy delivered my pizza from Dawes, and it was like this 17-year-old, and he was like, oh my God, you were at the university recruiting, and now I'm gonna be a mechanical engineer. I was like, whoa, I'm getting old, but also awesome. So when I got here to Cummins, again, it's I'm the only Latino in the room, but I try to reflect that same attitude of like, I know that yes, I'm a Latino, but also I'm a man. So there's other groups. So I have privilege within my own minority. So I become way more aware of other people's how we treat other people in places or different genders or different backgrounds. So I think it's realize that you represent your people and those who follow you, but also you should be empathetic to other people who might be suffering from that same feelings of rejection, discrimination, or simply feel different, and try to fight that, because today it's them, tomorrow it's you. So it's just like it's given me that awareness to look out for when I feel like the minority, but also when others might feel that way.
Definitely. Thank you all for sharing that. And I think representation was something that will continue to battle. And I think it's people like us to continue, offering that helping hands to the others that will come after us. So thank you all for what you all are doing. To wrap up the night, guys, I know it's been a night full of questions, and it's been great getting to know you all. To wrap up, we do, as we mentioned, talking about the future, you've all mentioned some of the challenges you faced along the way, and you guys have overcome. What advice specifically would you all give to a high school student or college student pursuing a degree in STEM? So we're gonna just do one piece of advice that you would give to a high school student or a college student pursuing a degree in STEM. We will start with Hernan.
Well, I'm sure someone will give one advice I'm thinking of, but maybe not this advice. I would advise to take time to daydream, because what really fuels your ambition is kind of what you kind of discover about yourself and what kind of things you want to do. So don't be afraid to waste a little time and imagine what your future would be like, or just the most ridiculous thing lead you to happiness in nature. So that would be my one advice, is don't be afraid to daydream.
For sure. Alex.
I would say just have persistence. I mean, It takes time, it takes effort, it takes sacrifices. You'll feel demotivated at times, but at the end, it's totally worth it, and you can do it. Everyone can do it. And I like this quote from Henry Ford, which is whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're it. And I truly believe that everyone can do it, and just take the time, and that's it.
No, oh yeah, daydreaming and persistence. I think two things that I think I need more in my life. Marta.
Yeah. Don't let your worst class define your career. STEM classes are hard, so at one point you're gonna find that one class that you cannot stand, that you cannot understand. So just don't let it define your career. Don't let it be the class that makes you drop a major or a career that you really like. Like it will, you will get over it. The class will pass. You will get whatever grade you want, but just don't let it define you as a person in your career.
Could not agree more. I cannot agree more. Thank you for that. Paco, finish us off.
Okay, so I'm gonna start with my biggest piece of advice is commit. I had a professor that told us, the difference between being involved and being committed can be seen in a typical breakfast. Like you see the eggs, you have your bacon, right? Well, in that breakfast, the chicken is involved. The pig is committed. So doesn't matter what you do in STEM, math, technology, engineering, science, don't be afraid to be the most passionate and intense and committed person in the room, because you don't have to be the smartest. You don't have to be the best king. You don't have to be, anything extra special. But if you are the most committed and you're willing to do the work and you're willing to give yourself 100% to whatever you do, the doors are gonna open. You're gonna knock on them so hard that they're freaking gonna go down. So it's just, don't be afraid to show your passion. Don't be afraid to ask the questions. Don't be afraid to bother people, because that commitment is what makes you go from the average, the group, to be Latino professional in STEM.
Wow, I'm inspired. Maybe
Yes.
I'll pursue a STEM field, after hearing you all, but right now I'll stick to my political science major.
Hey, there's science there.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You all, mad respect to all you all and everything that you all are doing. You guys are inspirations to so many of us, and just thank you so much for sharing just a couple of minutes of your day with us. It has been so great getting to know you. Thank you, Paco, Alex, Marta, and Hernan for joining us tonight. As I mentioned earlier, it's been great getting to know each of you a little bit more and learning about how you all navigated your professional careers in STEM. It's been an inspiration, so thank you all for that. And thank you everyone for tuning in. Next month, we will be interviewing Latinas in local government, so stay tuned.
Yes, and please make sure to follow the Indiana Latino Expo on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Y a todos los padres, por favor, asegúrense de informarles a sus hijos sobre estos videos tan importantes y informativos. Muchas gracias.
Gracias.
Indiana Latino Expo Show.